You're listening to Morning Braw's Joe Stanley and Ella Hooper with you. Now, Ella, I think you would agree that we are all aware, particularly those of us in our midlife, that we need to prepare for our senior years, and financial security is absolutely critical to that.
Massive.
But knowing it and doing it is a very different thing, and it turns out that women specifically struggle with that financial literacy and particularly superannuation piece for us. It's a huge gap.
Huge gap, and such a hot topic for such a good reason. I feel like finally, we're all going, hey, can we talk about all the things that traditionally women aren't either meant to talk about or just don't talk about? Like, you know, what is it? Sex, death and taxes and money. Let's talk about money, finally.
Essentially, the system was not set up for women. It was designed by men. It was designed for men who work full-time for the entire length of their careers, earning at a man's wage. But that is not true for women. Women dip in and out of the workforce because of various responsibilities like parental leave or looking after the elderly or whatever it may be. And then if they stepped out of the workforce, if they do return to work, and there's a big if, and I'll talk about that stat in a minute, but if they do return to work, they tend to do so in a part-time capacity, right, in order to juggle the kids and the domestics and da-da-da-da. And of course, when you are working part-time, you're contributing fractionally to your super. So where we end up is that women in Australia currently retire with anywhere between a quarter to half as much super less than a man.
Pascal, as someone who is, historically not very financially literate, I'm a lifelong musician and, come from a long line of, let's not mention it, about money was not our family's focus. Let's just put it that way. Sure. What is one of those first simple steps I can do to become more aware of, where my super's at, or what's a good entry point for someone like me, 41, who, I'm just going to be honest, has no idea?
The first thing I would advocate really is understand where you are. You must have bits of super, and perhaps in various different accounts. Just go onto the ATO Super Consolidator tool and just find out exactly where you are. Because once you know where you are, then you can start putting together a plan to where you want to get to. I think the second, or actually I'd put it in parallel actually with the first, is don't be frightened. You still have time.
Live big. Live broad. Broad Radio. Download the Broad Radio app now to listen.